This may be an unsexy topic, and it's one of the things that's wrecking your business. Today, I'm gonna share with you the 6 reasons you might procrastinate. 3 sales call tips that I'm gonna share with you today. Don't hate me. You are probably dog shit at evaluating time, and it's one of the things that's wrecking your business. This may be an unsexy topic, but ignore it at your peril. Because if you ignore this, you will continue to stay in whatever cycle you are probably not satisfied with right now, and you will not move yourself forward to what you really want. And I'm talking about time horizons. Humans are notoriously bad at thinking long term, which is okay. After all, it was only 200 years ago where the average lifespan was like 35 years old. So thinking 5, 10 years down the road may not be innate to you. That's okay. But if you are brave enough to put some intention and attention and awareness onto this, you have the potential to advance and achieve what you really want to achieve. So if you can look at your business with a 5-year and 10-year time horizon, we can begin to work backwards, right? If we're gonna be at $10 million in 10 years from now, what's checkpoint 1? What's checkpoint 2? What's checkpoint 3? Giving yourself this long time horizon has so many benefits. It helps you account for setbacks, randomness, and variability. But if you're trying to hit that $10 million mark in 6 months and you face a setback, it's gonna be so much more damaging, right? And then you might feel more like you need to catch up and you need to make up for the loss instead of learning from it. Having a long time horizon gives you the ability to sit back, take a breath, and tell yourself that you are on track. So long as you keep showing up, you have a solvable goal, X by Y, you know the roadmap, and roadmaps change all the time, right? This is not about having a set in stone roadmap, but as you walk the road of the roadmap, you'll be able to better understand where you need to veer a little bit more left or a little bit more right, or if going head on is the way to go. The hustle, go, 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 crush, crush, crush mentality that is so prevalent in our entrepreneur community might be one of the biggest things that's fucking up your business. And if you aren't able to modulate that against taking it slowly, having a long time horizon, and giving yourself the space to account for setbacks and variability, then you're predisposed to wrecking yourself. One of the ways I see this manifest in the entrepreneurs that I coach is this persistent desire to beat their best. We just had our very best month ever. Let's beat it this month. Guess what? Best is a superlative term. It is hard to beat by definition. If you stay on track and have a long time horizon, beating your best will come. But the hustle, go, go, beat it right now causes you to not play with your full power, right? You're not staying on the roadmap. It may lead you to taking completely unnecessary risks. Let's double ad spend. We all know that as we increase ad spend, performance dips. So perhaps doubling ad spend is not the best thing to do if you have an appropriate goal and time horizon, right? That would be an action that is with the potential, with a decent probability of removing you, right? Pulling you away from what you really want to achieve. So instead of this constant need to beat your best, which, sidebar, will also lead to frustration when it doesn't happen, right? Oh crap, we did 100K last month, we've only done 90K this month, I'm frustrated. That is also not an empowered position to be in at all. Doing 100K in 1 month and 90K the next is still a win. If everything has stayed stable and nothing has broken in the organization, that is a huge win. So instead of this need to beat your best, let's cast some attention on beating your worst. Your worst is easy to beat. So go back and look at your worst month, your worst quarter, your worst year. Okay, what were some things that went wrong here? It's likely that something got blown up, right? What got blown up here, and how can we prevent that blow up from ever occurring again with a high probability, right? What systems, what buffers can we put in place to lift up our worst, right? So that may look like, well, in this worst quarter, we did not acquire as many new customers as usual. Maybe there's a seasonality component to that, right? Maybe your offering just doesn't do as well in the summer, right? Many brands tend to ebb and flow with seasonality. So you might look at, okay, what can we do in summer that's a little bit different? Maybe we can remarket a bit more to our current customers and boost up the revenue that way. Really simple strategy to raise your floor, to beat your worst. And now the trajectory is moving upward, right? Because if you keep beating your worst, that is a trend, and the trend is up. And we love rolling averages and upward trends versus let's go all in to beat our very best month the very next month. And I actually have created a free tool for you that you can go and use to help analyze all of this stuff in the context of your unique situation and your unique business. It's designed to give you a tailored strategy for the next best steps for you to take that could even get you a win in your business in as little as 24 hours. You can go check that out at bizwintoday.com. Do you procrastinate? Do you low-key use procrastination as an excuse to stay in the familiar and not advance towards your dreams? Am I slightly pissing you off by asking you this right now? Hey, my name is Laura. I am an internationally tolerated business coach, and today I'm going to share with you the 6 reasons you might procrastinate. I can't help myself, so at some point therein, I'm going to give you ways to get out of the rut of procrastination. Let's dive in. The first reason you likely procrastinate is because it's a habit. Habits are things we do regularly. So if you procrastinate regularly, it stands to reason that you will continue to procrastinate. If you were in school and you did not enjoy school and you did not enjoy doing homework, of course you would procrastinate on doing it. You became accustomed to putting things off to the last minute, handing in something that may be serviceable, may not, but at least you're able to skate by and move on to the next day and the next task that you have to do. So procrastination could just very well be a habit for you that it may be in your best interests to modify. Is it a habit for you? Let me know in the comments down below. Another reason you may procrastinate is because of wavering strength in your attention and focus abilities. I'm no psychologist. I don't know you. I would never prescribe you with I would never diagnose you with ADD or ADHD, but inattentiveness is rampant in our society. We have so many different sources of stimulation available to us at any time. Our brains are becoming more and more adjusted to receiving a lot of dopamine from a lot of various inputs. So if you know that you have to head down and get nitty-gritty and complete a task, there's a decent probability that your brain is not getting a bunch of dopamine rewards, right? The hit of happiness at the thought of completing that task. So you continue to put it off. You could attempt to reframe your relationship with this and realize that, well, when I get the task done, I'll feel glad that it's done, especially if these are tasks that have the potential to move you closer to what you really want in life, right? Especially if these are tasks geared towards helping you make more money, helping your business be more successful, improving your relationship. Once you execute on those tasks Even if you've been in the habit of procrastination, there's a decent likelihood you're gonna get a nice dopamine hit out of it. So even if you don't get the dopamine hit to start, plan for getting it when you are done and get to work and stop procrastinating. Another reason you may be stuck in a rut of procrastination is a doom and gloom cycle is overwhelming your thoughts and emotions. It's overwhelming Winstons. How many Winston jokes can I keep in these videos? The next reason you may be stuck in a rut of procrastination is that your thoughts and emotions are being taken hostage by a doom and gloom cycle. What do I mean by that? You may be feeling like, well, what's the point? It's not gonna work anyway. So if you've been procrastinating on reaching out to a potential business partner, if you've been procrastinating on getting on a phone call with a prospective client, if you've been procrastinating on putting a first or new offering online, and even if it's subconsciously somewhere in here, you feel like, it's probably not gonna work anyway, of course you're not gonna feel incredibly motivated to take the actions required to get that thing done. So if, as you hear me say this right now, you realize, oh shit, some of that is at play for me, I encourage you to consider, well, what is at stake here? If you're in a doom and gloom cycle and you're therefore not taking action towards your dreams and goals, you're quite literally like saying fuck you to yourself, and you're saying fuck you to your dreams and goals. That's a lot that's at stake for me. That would be enough to get me to get up and go and start taking action. And if you truly feel like the actions on your plate aren't gonna work out, how can you modify those actions to something that you feel has a higher probability of actually working out, right? If you feel like your book is not gonna sell, how could you modify the book? Could you break it up into a video course that may be more fun and exciting for your market? Could you give away a few chapters to get people interested in wanting to finish the book? How could you tweak what you need to do so that you feel more like it could be successful to help you get started? The next reason you procrastinate, and it's related to the previous one, all of these things tend to interrelate together. They're not distinct. But the next reason is fear of the unknown. We talk about that a lot on this channel. Our bodies and brains and hearts and guts are all programmed to keep us in the known, because even if it sucks, at least we know that the known is safe. It's not killing any of us, right? At least not violently all at once. It might be killing us a little bit at a time though. But we have this natural tendency, we have a lot of governing forces that are trying to keep us in the known. If the actions that you are procrastinating on would take you out of the known and into the unknown, especially without any practice, any conscious thought or actions on modifying your relationship with the unknown, of course, there's gonna be a lot of inner workings in your body telling you, just watch Netflix on the couch instead, you can do it tomorrow. A very easy, effective hack for this, if you will, is catching, it's the fear of the unknown that's been holding me back from doing this thing that I really wanna do. Think about this. If your brain is on this loop of, I wanna do this, but I'm not gonna do it. I wanna work out, but I'm not gonna do it. I wanna reach out to this person, but I'm not gonna do it. What's the first half of that statement? Your brain is telling you that you want to do it. You want to do it. So stop denying yourself what you want, even if there's an element of the unknown. If you want it, go do it. Don't let fear of the unknown hold you back. The best way to conquer fear of the unknown is to make it known. If you have to break that down into an earlier step to inch your way into turning the unknown into known, then great, do that. When I first started working out, I had to get so granular with the steps to get my ass up and over to the gym. I would literally think to myself, if I were to work out The conditional is a very helpful phrase here, right? Because I'm not saying to myself, get up, Laura, and work out. I'm giving myself a conditional phrase that gives me a little bit of a feeling of power and wiggle room, and it makes the question easier to answer. If I were to work out, what would be the first step I take? Well, I would get up and put my sneakers on. Okay, I get up and put my sneakers on. What would I do next? I'd fill a bottle of water. Okay, I fill a bottle of water. If you have to take those micro steps to get you out of the rut of procrastination, out of the familiar that you don't want anymore, then go ahead, start making it that micro and that granular if you need to. Now I work out all the time and I'm in pretty good shape, and that is how I started. You could apply that for absolutely anything. If you were about to follow up with a prospect, what would you do? Would you go sit at the computer? What would you do next? Open your email? Before you know it, you have followed up with that prospect. So gradually turn the unknown into the known to get you out of the rut of procrastination. The next reason you may procrastinate is because you lack clarity on what you really want. This is another thing we discuss very often in my channel because it is so damn important. If you're not clear on what you really want and you're kind of just working towards something because it looks cool on social media or because your friends are doing it or because your family has told you to do it, is it any wonder you procrastinate on the tasks associated with it? Think about the things that you really, really do want to do, right? If you really want to go out to this restaurant for dinner with your friends, do you procrastinate on that? No. If you really want to buy some new thing on Amazon, do you procrastinate on that? No. So what can you find that you really, really want to do that is aligned with getting you closer and closer to your overall goals to generate more income, build a more successful business, have a greater impact in your community? What nuggets of those things could be stuff that you really, really want to do and you feel clarity on so that you become so much more likely to actually do them and not hang out in the rut of procrastination. Speaking of things that you really want to do and figuring out the best action steps to take in pursuit of them, I have an incredibly powerful free tool for you. It comes along with a very private special training video that teaches you exactly how to do that. The cool part is you'll come up with something completely tailored and unique to you and exactly where you're at in your business and in your career right now. Go check out that free tool at bizwintoday.com. The last and maybe most sneaky, sinister, definitely higher level reason you may be procrastinating is because you're going after lesser goals. Ben Hardy, in his amazing book, Your Future Self Now, says that the greatest, and I might be paraphrasing, but he says something like the greatest enemy for your big goal is the lesser goal, because it may seem easier to achieve, you may be way more familiar with it, so it is way more known. Going for that lesser goal will divert you away from the bigger goal. So while you may still be taking little actions to get to that lesser goal, you're procrastinating on the big actions required to get you closer to your big goal. As an example for me, I kind of like video editing. I know on this channel I say all the time, don't do video editing, but I sort of like cutting where the jokes go, where my, what's the word? I'm literally bloopering a blooper, where the bloopers go. I sort of like doing all that. I have that element of control over it, and it's fun for me. I'm not saying you should never do the sort of smaller tasks in your business that you kind of like to do. But when they're pulling you away from that larger goal, I have big goals here. I have big visions, I got big plans, and I appreciate you subscribing and sticking with me and watching me on my journey here. But anytime I decide to edit a video, if it's not in replace of like watching Netflix, if it's not like when I can't sleep and I wouldn't be thinking super big anyway, then editing a video is pulling me away from my bigger goals. So you need to start realizing what are these little things that I find myself dabbling in, that I let myself get magnetized by, that are actually causing me to procrastinate on my bigger goals, like how Winston, the lesser goal of petting Winston. Do you have a tennis ball? He's got a tennis ball. The lesser goal of petting Winston versus my bigger goal of communicating these messages to you. You say, I want to learn how to delegate. I say, it's something else that's fucking you up. I do, that's what I say. It's something else, I say that to everything. Time management. I'll just tell this fucking story, I don't know where we'll put it. I had a client come to me, she says, Laura, I need help with time management. Time management, huh? Okay, what are you doing with your time? She says, well, I just feel like I'm so busy and I'm working so hard, but the company's not making enough money for all the hours I work. I'm like, all right, so take me through like a day. Take me through a day for you so we could work on your time management. She says, well, I start my day and I get on these calls. You know, I'm on calls all day. I say, okay, well, what are you doing on these calls? She goes, well, I'm trying to close new clients. I'm like, okay, so there's sales calls. She goes, yeah, I guess. That's mistake number one, which we'll dive into more in just a moment. How long are these sales calls that you're on? She goes, 2 hours, 2-hour-long calls. And I'm like, and are you closing any clients on these 2-hour-long calls? She says, no. Now I can say this with a laugh, right? And it might seem really obvious to us when we are emotionally calm, but when you're in the heat of the moment, everybody makes mistakes like these, and they're way harder to catch, right? Because it's our own stuff, and we're trying to see the label from inside the jar. Hi, I'm Laura, by the way. I'm a business coach, 8-figure direct response copywriter, and grower of 3 successful direct response brands. So my dear client tells me she gets on 2-hour-long sort of sales calls and is not closing any clients. She believes she has a time management problem. The thing is, though, she does not have a time management problem. She has a sales call problem. She is not correctly doing these sales calls at all. So I shared with her 3 sales call tips that I'm going to share with you today. 1, the person with whom you're getting on the phone needs to understand that it is a sales call. Trying to do any sort of bait and switch, trying to provide value, or simply give a strategy session without the mutual understanding that it is a sales call is going to wreck you. It is going to hurt your confidence. You're going to feel like you're being disingenuous, and you might attract people onto the call who are looking for a free strategy session and who do not want to be sold anything. There's a high probability that it would be much better for you if instead of 10 free strategy sessions, you did 3 sales calls, because at least those 3 people know that there's a potentiality that you are going to offer them something during the call. You set an empowered floor for the sales call right at the very beginning. You use language like, hey, I'm super excited for us to talk today. We're going to talk about X, Y, and Z. And if I feel there's a way I can help you further, we will discuss that. Sound good? The other party says yes. You've gotten that micro commitment out of them, and they completely understand that there's a likelihood you're going to make them an offer if they are a good fit for you. You have a time limit to your sales calls of 20, maybe 30 minutes. I had to give my client this buffer to insulate her against her own propensity to give too many fucking ideas. If you give a prospect 30 ideas on a sales call, first of all, you've just given them 30 ideas, so they might feel like, well, what do I need to pay for now? But what's actually more likely and more damaging is that you have overwhelmed them. You have overwhelmed them, so now they have no idea how to move forward. 20 minutes buffers you if you're like my client and you have a propensity to do that. The other reason my client had a propensity to give idea after idea after idea, and she is brilliant, by the way, a lot of her ideas are really, really, really damn good, but she's sharing these ideas to do what exactly? To prove herself, to prove her worthiness to this perspective close of hers, right? And to give value. There's a lot of chirping in this community about giving value, lead with value, give value. Of course, value is great. But if we are giving value in an attempt to prove ourselves, then how valuable actually is it to the other party? Because if you've just given the other party 30 ideas and they're overwhelmed and they don't know how to move forward, have you been useful? Have you given them value? What is oftentimes incredibly valuable is simply listening to the other person. Listen with intent to learn versus talk to prove yourself. So that was a shift that I had to give to my client. I understand her proclivities, so I allowed her one idea. You should have seen her write it on a Post-it note. One idea, boom, next to the desk. You are allowed to give only one idea, no more. In fact, there are many situations where 0 ideas is even better. Instead, you give your value on the sales call by listening, asking deeper questions that help your prospect truly understand what their root problem is and what they need solved. If via that process of discovery, you see, oh yeah, what they need solved, I can solve, that's when you move into your offering and you say, I understand you need X, Y, and Z. I have a package for that. It costs X. Do you want to move forward? That is it. You do not reveal every single step of your process and how you solve the problem. The how you solve the problem is what they pay for. What they're on the sales call for is to, one, get to the root of their problem. Because just like my client said to me, I have a time management problem. What we often think is the problem is not the problem. So consider that too. Like even getting to the real problem, the sales call problem, is useful, is providing value. And then they pay for the how behind your solution. Anytime, and it's common of course. So when you get to the point where you make an offering on a sales call, you may meet some resistance. You may not, let's remember, but it's reasonable to meet some resistance. When your prospect on that sales call asks some questions, some of them make sense. You, as the leader of this sales call, you have to check every question that they're asking at this stage and see, is this a question that as I answer it is going to move them closer to getting what they want? Is it going to move them closer towards getting the solution that I have for them? If it is, great, answer the question. If it's not, right? If it's starting to derail us, you do not answer that question. You provide value by realigning them back on the path. So that may look like, well, which tech stack are you going to use to execute on this? The exact tech stack we need in order to get it done. But let's not lose the forest for the trees, shall we? Let's keep moving forward because you said to me you really want X, Y, and Z, right? And I want to make sure that we get you there. That is how you handle a question like this. So I challenge you to do this. And if you're sitting there wanting more answers, I challenge you also to realize this sort of simple, right? Not nuclear physics here. And this simple stuff. Can you take the simple solution that's being offered to you right now? That is my challenge to you. It's entirely up to you. If you do or not, I don't get a cookie, if you take it. Hopefully you get a big win if you take it. And speaking of big wins, if you want to get a win in your business within the as I go to the pitch, I stutter. See? If you want to get a win for your business within the next 24 hours, I have a very, very cool tool that helps you do that. It's at bizwintoday.com. If completely sideways objections start to creep in at this point, which they might, you learn all of this, by the way, through practice, right? It's likely you're not going to be perfect at doing all of this out of the gate, but the point is to get your reps in and keep practicing and having real conversations with people at the other end of the line. And as you do that, it wouldn't be surprising if you got on a sales call where totally left field objections start to come in. So, I really want to do this, but I want to paint the roof. You want to paint the roof? Oh, okay. Thank you for telling me that. I think it's important we get into some alignment here because originally you said you really wanted to get this funnel online. Now, if what you're discovering is it's more important for you to paint the roof, then sweet, by all means, paint the roof. I'm here to help you get what you want. So is it that you really wanted to paint the roof? And then they might say, well, no, I'm kind of full of shit, right? So, or they might say, yes, great. You got them clarity. Hey, awesome. Thank you so much for your time. We're still friends. I'll send you some memes. Have a great day. that is maintaining. So all of this, like, what's the thinking above the thinking here, right? Let me reiterate it. Keeping them on the path. So every time they get off the path, your job is not to derail with them. Your job is to get them back onto the path. I had one more. Another problem, which fell into my client's time management analysis, was even if, and especially after these 2-hour-long sales calls didn't work out, and they would say no to her services, she would still give them something in an attempt to give them more value. I would argue that 2 hours and 30 ideas is a lot of value, but give value, give value, give value. She wanted to give some more. So she would spend more time. She would write out her 30 ideas. She would film another Loom critique video, whatever it may be. So I gave her another rule. No more, no buts. So it is no longer appropriate if your prospect says no for you to do more work for them. If you see a crystal clear, ooh, I'm not a fit for this, but I have this associate of mine who them two might get along great, and it's an easy introduction for you, of course, by all means, do that. But do not wreck your brain trying to come up with ways for you to work more for free. Instead, you will simply do the empowered, okay, given all of this, I don't see how I could help you. Thank you for taking the time. And again, I'll send you some memes like you're cool, we're still friends. That's it, that is it. All of that stays within your 20 to 30 minute long sales call. And as I taught the structure to my client and as she practiced it, it was quite literally within that week, she closed a $25,000 job one day and then a $10,000 job the very next day. Go ahead and check out my next video. It's the 3 things that are holding you back from leaping to that next revenue tier in your business. I'll see you over there.